Hi, you're watching Sipping Off the Cuff on TequilaAficionado.com and Tequila Aficionado Media, as well as YouTube. I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio. That guy over there?
Rick Levy in San Diego. I
Hi, Tequila! Mine says, what does it say? Italian Stallion. Which I am neither, by the way. Uh, we have a really interesting tequila. Actually, it's kind of a dual tequila, but you'll know when we show this to you. Oh yeah, did you get the?
what could it be?
What
What
could
could
it
it
be?
be?
It's
Dos Almas.
dos almas, which in Spanish means two souls. Two souls, or if you follow Batman, that would be Two Face.
And so the guy in charge of this brand's a surfer, right? Because
Well,
mine comes in its own wetsuit.
yeah. Well, I got the same kind of wetsuit. I think I removed it, um, but you have to be careful. First of all, I'll tell you right away. Um, cork, the
The
synthetic
glue.
cork seems to want to, you know, pop its way out. But yes, this gentleman's the owner, the brand owner, is out of San Diego. He's in your neighborhood.
My neck of the woods.
Your
Emilio
neighborhood.
De Soto, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
And he gave us great information on the entire production process. I
yeah.
love this guy.
Well, why don't you go ahead and repeat while I pour? You tell us what it is that he said. Well, first of all, and I'll let me read off. It's Nom 1137. That's La Cofradía, ladies and gentlemen. You'll be seeing this gnome in the next few weeks over and over and over
A
again.
lot from La
A lot
Confradía.
coming up in the next few
Yeah.
weeks. But for now, we're we're going to have this is at 55% out. This is still strength, ladies and gentlemen.
Still strength. Yes.
This is still
Which
strength.
is, I only know of a few brands out there that go full still strength.
Well,
And so I always love that because you get to have that experience of, what it's like right out of the still.
right out of the still.
Because usually, they distill the 55%, and then for the U.S. export, they have to water it down to 40%. So that's like 30% of what you're drinking is whatever the water is that they used
Yeah.
to.
Yeah, and the water, as we've realized, having done several tequilas now, like for instance with Pasote, the water makes a big difference, makes a huge
Yeah.
difference. Where your water comes from, what your source is, and so this is, a few of us who have been to tequila distilleries, that's the first thing you want to try is you want to try the tequila still strength. And I remember the first time we did that, I was with a group of folks that had gone to Jose Cuervo, and you haven't lived until you've had Jose Cuervo out of the still strength. I was one of the first ones to have it, because we had never tried it before, and
Is this especial or reserva
no,
de
this is simple,
Mestilla?
simple. It's 100%. And when I tasted it, somebody in the crowd asked me, "What's it taste like?" And I go, "Tastes like 1800," because it does. It tasted like 1800, only like 1800. it was 1800 fuerte, but it was so distinctive. You know what I mean? The stamp of the distillery was just right there on that blanco, and it was unmistakable. And that's really what I meant by that. It was just, it was unmistakable.
Yeah.
It was Jose Cuervo.
And, we typically characterize tequilas coming from La Confradía as having that La Confradía stamp on it
Yes.
as
Yes.
well.
But I'll be honest, I've never had any tequilas out of La Cofradía still strength. Never.
Oh,
So
I think this is gonna, yeah,
this is
same
this
here.
is my first foray into it. Why don't you read the guy's notes? Why don't you read the gentleman's notes that he sent us?
Okay, so they're using organic agaves. I don't believe they had got their organic certification yet. They're in the process, but
Okay.
they're attempting to have everything be organic. They're using organic agaves from the highlands. Um, let's see, they told us who the Humidor was, who, all this stuff. Um, so they baked the agaves in masonry ovens for 36 to 38 hours. For their extraction, they're using a chipper and then mechanical screw and spike mills to squeeze the juices out.
Yeah, it was kind of hard to figure out that description, but it just sounded painful to the agave. You know.
Don't try this at home.
Yeah, be careful.
And then for the fermentation, they're using natural wild airborne yeast. So, I always love that.
Well, if you've been to La Cofradia, that's how they it's open air fermentation inside that. If you look hard enough on Facebook, you'll see somebody who has used the picture of or you'll see several pictures of the inside of the fermentation room, and it's beautiful. It's brick and it's quiet, and several fermentation tanks, all open air. So it's just within a building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see, a bunch of dates here for the first distillation, second distillation, filtration. Let's look at the second page that they gave us here. So this is from lot one, production one. They did 1,300 bottles. They're calling it a Plata.
Did you and I get the same lot numbers?
At the bottom of the front label, it says production one. The very bottom.
Yeah.
Of the front.
1,300 bottles. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And so Plata tequila for the true aficionado, 55% alcohol by volume, 110 proof, organic double distillation, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, because Cofradia is known for triple distillation, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, they're known for their multiple distillations.
Yeah. Experienced and discerning palates will appreciate the sweet taste of the agave plant by enjoying this young tequila, which has never seen the inside of a barrel. Pure, raw, artisanal, direct from the still, with alcohol content 55, nothing added and nothing removed. And there we go.
Well,
what glass are you going to use tonight,
I'm going
Mike?
to use my Stossel, which you've probably seen us use. This is a nosing glass. If you're not familiar with what we're doing right now, Rick and I, throughout this season of Sipping Off the Cuff, we're experimenting with perhaps what we're calling the new phase of glassware for tequila tasting. We're working with a gentleman from Chisholm Trail Glass up in Austin, and he's been really kind enough to sent us some sample glasses for us to experiment with, because he's trying to come up with a new version of a tasting glass for not only tequila but also for mezcal. So Stossel, you may have, for those of you who are in the whiskey business or the bourbon business, you've seen this a lot. It's an old, reliable one. The glass is rather thick on this one, but it's sturdy. I mean, it does the job. But I wanted to try this one.
So they actually recommend, Emilio actually recommends a large wine glass, like a burgundy glass. So, they're saying to use something that, has a large bowl to it, because, at 55%, there's going to be a lot coming off the top of the juice.
Yeah. But you know what? I'm not getting any alcohol right now. There's a lot of baked agave on that nose.
Yeah. Has a great nose. I personally prefer to use something like the Glencairn or the Stossel for this. I could understand going with the Stossel because there's a larger space to accumulate aromas. The Glencairn might be a little small for a 55% alcohol, but
well, again, some of the scotches and whiskeys that are probably used in a glass like that are also higher strength, but they're also
Yeah.
darker. They're also darker spirits. We're going with a blanco, for instance. So, you know,
Yeah.
choose your
I
weapon
like
wisely.
I like the intensity of an overproof tequila.
Oh,
So,
I do
you
too.
know, if you're not really used to it, then maybe something with a wider top, a larger volume, would be easier on your nose. But I like to have something that's constricted a bit at the top to kind of capture the aromas.
Wow, it's just all baked agave in there. And naturally, because it's a 55 proof, you're going to get some alcohol. But the alcohol is not as overpowering as you might think.
Yeah, if you inhale very deeply on a glass like this, you'll feel the alcohol in your nose, but I'm not getting, really, I'm just getting lots of agave off of it, no
Yeah, me
alcohol.
too. I mean, the interesting thing is that the first thing that hits you is agave. It isn't the alcohol. It's not, you know, it's nothing else. It's just it's all, and it's, you can tell it's baked. It's not green. I'm not getting a green
Yeah.
agave. Like a fresh agave. I'm getting more baked.
And it's got a big aroma. The aroma starts hitting you. You have the glass down on the table and you
Yeah,
pour it, and the
yeah,
aroma starts to hit
yeah.
you.
You don't have to.
So,
You don't have to. It's not like a Riedel where you have to really dig in to smell it.
yeah,
You don't. It's like right here.
yeah.
It's
And,
beautiful.
it's really very nice.
Yeah, it is. And you know what? Do you still smell that cofradia stamp on it? Can
A
you
little bit.
a little bit?
Yeah.
It's really odd because you'd think it'd be there even stronger at a double distillation than a triple distillation, but that's not the case. It's more
Yeah.
subtle in a double distillation. In my opinion, I don't know. I don't know
No, I'm,
what you
I'm
think.
finding the same thing. Yeah. It's much more subtle. It's not like jumping out at me like with a Casa Noble.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Or Senor Rio or any of the other ones that come out of there.
Mm.
I'm gotta go in. I gotta go in.
Oh.
Wow. Mommy.
Do not inhale while this is coming off your
No.
palate. You will
No.
choke on it.
Wow.
It's got a lot going on, but boy, I love it.
It's
This,
it's aggressive. But let's be honest, it's aggressive. If you're not used to still strength or high proof tequilas, you might not like this one. But for those of you who really like that in your face that makes you feel like you're alive, this is it, man, right here.
in terms of lowlands still strength tequilas, this brings me back to the first lot of El Luchador,
See, I've never had that.
which when I had that first lot of El Luchador, I thought it was the most perfect tequila ever made. It was just fantastic.
Well, you know that
And
the owner of El Luchador is a former partner in Casa Noble, right?
Don Randy,
Yeah, yeah.
not sure
Ravel.
if I knew that.
Yeah, he was one of the
Yeah.
original partners in Casa Noble, and then branched out to do his own thing. Left
Ah.
left
And of
the
course, he does Uno, Dos, Tres, one, two, three,
Yes, yeah, and
and El
and both are
Luchador.
organic, right? Luchador is organic
Yes,
also, correct?
yes.
Yeah. See, I'm hoping this guy gets his organic certification. That's not cheap, folks.
Mm.
So, we'll see what
Wow.
lot number two does.
Like buttery agave. Oh,
Wow. It
uh,
is it explodes in your palate. It's peppery also, so that you're not getting it's not a heat like a black pepper. It's a white pepper. So again, be careful if you're one of those guys like us that hold it in your mouth. You're going to get a lot of substantial lip numbness, gum numbness, but you're supposed to. That's where it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be at a 55 at 55, ABV. So
yeah.
wow.
And of course, I'm not getting any off notes. Not, I can't find any defects or anything.
No,
It's just,
it's
it's
clean.
big.
It's big though. It's a big beefy tequila, ladies and gentlemen. Big and beefy. It will
Yeah.
stand up it's definitely for those of you who are used to anything at 80 proof. It may be a challenge to sip this, but for those of us who are longing for something, that's really got a great agave punch, you're gonna love this. Obviously, it's great for cocktails, though, right?
Yes, yeah, it is. Great agave representation, and of course, at the higher proof, is there's plenty of room to dilute it in your drink, but still have that big agave punch.
Oh wow! And there's almost an underlying sweetness too. You notice that there's a
Yeah.
It's not just hot and peppery and it warm and fuzzy down on the finish. It's got a great finish too, folks.
Yeah, I'm getting like this, almost like a sweet butter undertone.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
getting the caramelized sugars from the baked agave.
There's all kinds of neat things going on with this tequila. I'm really impressed. There's a lot of firsts for me. Number one, it's the first double distilled I've ever had from La
From La
Cofradía,
Confradia.
and first still strength out of La Cofradía. So who knew? Who knew? Kudos to Emilio. In fact, let me get his full name so that you all know who we're talking about. The gentleman is let me see.
Emilio de Soto II.
Yes, and he is his company is based in San Diego. And
Dos Almas Premium Craft Tequilas.
yes.
Oh, Friends Who Surf Incorporated.
Yeah, he's a president, maestro tequilero, created and imported. He's on Trade Street. Where's Trade Street? Is that downtown? Is
I
that
don't know.
downtown San Diego, or is it somewhere like in your neck of the woods? I don't know
I
where
would
Trade
have
Street
to.
is.
I'd have to look it up on Google Maps.
92121. Um, they're they're small but mighty. He's fairly new in the industry, but I guess he's got a long love affair with tequila.
Yeah, well, what a great first shot.
Brand of Promise nominee in the Blanco high proof category, no doubt.
Absolutely.
And again, the surprising thing is double distilled. I know that shouldn't be a surprise, but coming out of La Cofradía, that's a surprise.
Yeah.
Because for those of you who have grown up with Casa Noble and any of the other tequilas that come out of there, you may not have ever had a double distilled tequila from there. Most of their really champion brands are started 3 distillations, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
And it's not, and they've kind of pioneered this triple distillation process that they do too, because with other distilleries, if they pass it through a third time, then it's kind of suspect. It's like, well, what did they get wrong the second time?
yeah, what's wrong?
But with La Confradia, you don't think that because it's all still been great.
They, I think you and I discussed at one of our last tastings, or maybe we did it off camera, that they were one of the few that actually have a quadruple. They make a quadruple distilled tequila that I've had before, and I think where it starts to lose its charm is 5 distillations. I've also had one from that distillery that Lord knows where it's at now. Sadly, Exhibit is working diligently on Empire to try to pay off that bill, I'm sure. But it was a great try. I don't know what happened to Bonita, but do we know what the MSRP is on this one?
We sure do. It is $80, but for right now, you can get 2 for 1 at Old Town Tequila.
Oh, so go see Old Town Tequila.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
So I would say at $40 a bottle, this is great. It's definitely worth getting. At $80 a bottle, as comparison, like I mentioned El Luchador, in my opinion, the El Luchador now is not as good as the original El Luchador, but, that goes for $50. Dulce Vida, that's another overproof. That goes for $40. Don
Wait.
Fulano.
Time out. Dulce Vida, is it the 100 proof that goes for that much? The 100 proof. Okay. Yeah, because they have now diluted their line now that they've been bought. They have a whole 80 proof line. And some people, I've read some threads on Facebook where some people are confusing the price point that they see at Costco for their Blanco, and claiming that, you know, how can they give away this great booze. Well, you look at the proof, because they have a whole line of 80 proof that they can bring their price down on. Their 100 proof was pretty pricey, but it was well worth the price in my opinion. So that's a steal. Wow. Yeah. I think so. I think you should have one to mix and one to sip, because you're going to get a lot. There's a lot going on in this tequila. Very impressed with it. I'm glad that we used our Stossels for it. Brand of Promise nominee, I think, in the high proof category, Blanco. And hopefully when things improve and more of these are made, we'll see it in the organic category. That'd be kind of fun. That's our take on Dos Almas. I am Mike Morales here in San Antonio. And you've been watching Sipping Off the Cuff on TequilaAficionado.com, Tequila Aficionado Media, and YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe. And as Rick likes to say, you know, select another one, a selection of other ones. But whatever you do, as we say here, tomar sabiamente.